Starting any business can be a really positive thing, and starting a web agency is no different. In this video, I'm going to share 10 great reasons to start a web agency, and there are also 2 bonus reasons if you make it all the way to the end. Hi, thanks for joining. If you're new to this channel, I'm Rich Dean, a web designer and developer, former web agency owner, and author of the book series Start, Grow and Sell Your Web Design Agency. My goal is to help anyone looking to start, grow and sell an agency to save time, earn more money, avoid the common mistakes and pitfalls, and build a thriving and valuable business. Before we get into the main topic though, I always like to keep the information that I share balanced. So as well as this video, I've also created another video which covers the 10 reasons not to start a web agency. I'll share the link to that video at the end of this one. So let's get into it. Reason number 1, you can have more freedom and control. I'm going to assume that if you're watching this and thinking about starting your own web agency, you're probably already employed by someone. When you work for someone else, you'll probably have some level of control, but it's never as much as when you work for yourself. Now, for many people, that's okay. Not everyone wants to run their own business, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I think I realized quite early on in my career that I wasn't suited to working for other people. I just like to do things my way. And if you feel the same, then starting your own business could be the right thing for you. You'll have complete freedom over pretty much every aspect of your business, from what it's called to who you want to work with, and even where you want to work. And that leads nicely into the next point. Number 2, you can work the hours that suit you. I think most people like a steady routine, but not everyone does. And perhaps you don't. Perhaps you do your best work early in the morning or in the evenings or late at night. Perhaps you don't work so well for prolonged periods, and so you prefer to break up your working day, maybe doing a few hours, then having a long break, and then carrying on for a few hours more. Perhaps you can't commit to a full-time employed schedule. Maybe you have family commitments or other people that you need to look after, and so you need to fit your work around them. Whatever your reasons, if you're someone who just doesn't suit a normal 9 to 5 or other set routine, then starting your own agency could be a great idea. One of the best things about starting your own business is that you can work the hours that you choose. If you're enjoying a project and you want to work late into the evening to get it finished, you can have a lay-in the next morning without having to explain it to your boss. Or if you hit a creative block and you just want to maybe take your dog for a walk or take your children to the park, you can do this whenever you like without feeling like you need to explain it to anyone. I think for many people, having full control over their schedule and being able to choose the hours that they work is one of the best things about starting their own business. Number 3, you can work wherever you like. As well as being able to choose the hours that you work, starting your own business means that you can work pretty much wherever you like too. And it means that you don't need to be tied to a specific geographic location. So we all know that COVID-19 helped to really accelerate the shift towards remote working. And although most jobs nowadays offer some kind of working from home, there's still a lot of jobs that do require people to come into a physical office. But that means you need to live close enough to be able to travel, which kind of means that your work can dictate where you live. If you're someone who doesn't want to commute anymore, and that's one of the reasons why I started my own web agency, or you don't want to live in a certain area just because of your work, then starting your own agency can mean you have the freedom to work wherever you like. And the world really is your oyster on this one. So provided you have an internet connection, you can pretty much work wherever you want, whether that's up a snowy mountain or on a beach in Bali. There really is no limit to this one. Even if one day you think you'd like to grow a team and base your business in an office, there's nothing stopping you from taking advantage of this now. And you could always be a fully remote boss, even if you do have a team in an office. Just before we move on to the next point, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it would really help us out. Number 4, you can choose who you want to work with. I was always fortunate that when I was employed by agencies, I got to work with some pretty cool clients, but this isn't always the case for everyone. And one of the main drawbacks of being employed by someone else's agency is that you have no real control over which clients you may end up working for. This may not always be an issue, but what happens if you walk into work one day to find out that you're going to be working for a client that you feel strongly against? By starting your own agency, you get to pick and choose the clients that you want to work with. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're just starting out or you're going through a lean period, you may have to take whatever work comes your way. But if you can build your agency to a level where you consistently attract a high volume of new business, then you'll be able to pick and choose the clients that you want to work with and turn down the ones you don't. Number 5, you can choose the types of projects that you want to work on. This one is a little bit like the last one, but in the same way that you'll be able to choose your clients, you'll also be able to choose the kinds of projects that you want to work on. Again, this is something that you may have no control over when you work for someone else's agency. And in fact, you may even feel that you're being pigeonholed into always doing the same kind of work. But when you run your own web agency, you can take it in any direction that you like. Perhaps you're a designer and you're starting to feel like your portfolio has become stale in your current role, so you want to try new things. Or perhaps you're a developer who's bored of working on the same technology, and so you want to try your hand at something new. Starting your own web agency can give you the freedom to pick and choose the kinds of projects that really suit you. And it can also allow you to try different things and develop your skills in areas that you may never have been able to do while working for someone else. Number 6, it's a challenge. I think for many people, starting a web design agency is a challenge and something they've always wanted to do. This was certainly the case for me. I'd worked as an employed web designer for various agencies for over a decade, and I'd always wanted to create my own agency. I loved the agencies that I worked for, but I wanted to be able to say that I'd created my own version of that. I think for many people, starting a business is about achievement. It's about proving to yourself and others that you've got what it takes to start and run a business. It's not easy, and there's a huge amount of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, but I think that's also what makes it so worthwhile when you do it. Number 7, you can't get fired. This is perhaps one of the more unusual ones, but for me, one of the things that I loved the most about running my own design agency was that I couldn't get fired. So just to be clear, obviously, when you run a business, your clients can still fire you, but that's not the same as having an employer who could. I think for me, that's a very important distinction. When I was employed, while I knew that I was good at what I did and that it was unlikely that I would ever get fired, when you work for someone else, there's always that possibility. What if you walk into work one day and you're told that your job is being made redundant because the company you work for is downsizing or changing direction? What if you make a mistake that results in you getting fired? I think many people see being employed as somehow safer and more secure than running your own business. But for me, I think it's actually the opposite. I think there's even more uncertainty and risk when you work for someone else, as your whole future is essentially in someone else's hands. When you run your own business, you're in control of your destiny. You certainly can't get fired, and this is something that I've found to be incredibly liberating and empowering. Number 8, you can earn more money. This is probably one of the more obvious reasons why people start their own business, so you may be wondering why this one isn't higher on this list. But when you start a business, when you start any business, especially a web design agency, you have the potential to earn more money. Now, I want to be really clear on this. Just starting a business doesn't automatically mean you'll instantly become a millionaire. I think a lot of people think that as soon as you start a business, you can automatically earn a lot more money, but that's just not right. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make a business work, and even then, there are no guarantees. Running your own business also doesn't automatically mean you'll earn more money than if you were doing the same kind of work as if you were employed. What you get paid as an employee and as a business owner will always be limited by how much money that business makes, whether that's a business that you work for or one that you own. And that's a really important point. The main difference is that when you run your own business, you're in control of how much you earn. And this is a really important distinction. Provided your business can afford it, provided it makes enough profit to afford it, you'll be able to pay yourself whatever you want, within reason, of course. If you contrast that to being employed, what you earn will always be limited by what other people in that business want to pay you. And that's usually your boss and the people above them. If you're employed and you want to earn more money, even if you work really hard and put in lots of extra hours, there's still no guarantee. It will always be down to someone else to decide. But when you run your own business, if you want to work harder, and if that means your business earns more money, then you'll be able to pay yourself more if you want to, and if your business can afford it. The main point is that you're in control. Number 9, you can build a legacy. One of the things that I loved about working for other people's agencies was the fact that the people who started those businesses had built a legacy, something that grew into being its own thing that often outlasted the founders themselves. This is something that I think is great about being a human being in general. We get to create things that can far outlast us. We see this in architecture with things like the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, or the Statue of Liberty. And we see this in business with companies like Apple, Coca-Cola, or Nike, businesses that have all grown to be legendary far beyond their original founders. Now, I'm not saying that anyone can create the next Nike or Apple, but what I loved about starting my own web agency was that I could create something that could itself grow and become its own independent thing beyond my original involvement, something with its own distinct identity that other people would buy into. Number 10, you can make a positive change. I think for many people, starting a business can give them a platform to make a positive difference. Whatever your values and whatever you believe in, you can create a business that focuses on and helps the things that are important to you. So if you want to help charities and good causes, then you could create a web agency that only works with those types of clients. If you care about climate change and the environment, you could choose to work with clients that are just in that sector. If you want to create jobs and help people in your local area, you could use your business as a platform to help people there. Or perhaps you like the idea of running a cooperative or taking any profits that you make and putting them straight back into causes that you really care about. Because it will be your business, you can choose to focus on the areas that are important to you. So that's all of the 10 reasons, and in a moment I'll share those 2 bonus reasons. But before we get to that, if you've enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps us out. I also discuss this and many other topics in my book series, Start, Grow and Sell Your Web Design Agency, and you can purchase that from Amazon now. I'll share the links in the description below. Now for those bonus reasons. Starting with bonus reason number 1, it's a fun industry to work in. Web design can just be a really fun and creative thing to do. There aren't many jobs where you get to be visually creative and to make something interactive that people will actually use and something will actually benefit your clients. If you're already working as a web designer or developer, then starting your own web agency may be something that you've always dreamed of, and it can also be an extension of your creative process. That was certainly how I felt about starting my own agency. I'm a creator, so creating my own business was just another way for me to be creative and to create something that I was really proud of. Bonus reason number 2, it can help your personal growth. This is probably an aspect of running a web agency that most people don't think of, but it can really help your personal growth and confidence. Now, I need to be clear, running a business is far from easy and there will always be tough times, but there's also a lot about it that can help you grow and develop in areas that you may not have even thought of. I think the simple act of starting a business and growing it to be successful in itself can massively improve your confidence and your sense of self-worth and achievement. But there are also so many other areas it can help you develop in, such as presenting and public speaking, sales and marketing, networking, not to mention the actual mechanics of how businesses operate. You also meet a lot of other business owners along the way, and you find that there's this amazing sense of camaraderie and how many people just want to support you and help you to achieve your goals. So that's it for this video. But like I said earlier, I like to keep things balanced, and running a business isn't for everyone. So check out this video where I discuss 10 reasons not to start a web agency. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.